welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Kayla and this is Becoming Herrss. This is a space where we talk about healing, nervous system awareness, softness, unlearning, survival. And so far in the series, we talked about noticing patterns, naming what we feel, learning how to nurture ourselves instead of abandoning ourselves. What else? I think that's it. Today, we're talking about the last step in the 4N method, which is navigate it. This step is the most important because awareness without movement can keep you stuck. It can keep you stagnant. Navigation is where healing leaves your head and shows up in your choices. It shows up in life. It's not about being killed. It's about moving differently in relationships now that you know better. Once you know better, you do better. What navigate it actually is, it is not about making like perfect decisions, because we all make mistakes. Let me just say that. It's about making intentional ones. When you've lived in survival mode for a long time, most of your relationship choices, or a lot of your choices just in general, become automatic. You react, you adapt, you adjust yourself to fit what feels the most familiar. And when you've grown up in survival mode, the most familiar is what you grew up in, and is that survival mode. Navigation is the moment we stop moving on autopilot. It's when we learn how to ask ourselves, like, does this work for me? Instead of, how do I keep myself or this together? Navigated is where you take everything you noticed, everything you named, everything you learned to nurture, and you let it inform how you move, how you walk through life. Not in how you explain, not in how you justify, but how you choose different now. When survival has been running the show for a long time, decisions in life, I'm just saying life, because I know there's a video about relationship, but decisions in life usually comes from fear, not really clarity. Fear of being alone, fear of being misunderstood, fear of starting over, fear of asking for too much. So instead of choosing what aligns, you choose what keeps the peace. You stay quiet, you tolerate things you've outgrown, you ignore your body because you don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to piss people off. A lot of people think they're bad at boundaries, but really they have never been taught how to make a decision from a more aligned perspective, a more safe perspective. Survival teaches you to prioritize connection over self. Navigation teaches you to hold both. Once you've done the earlier work, something in us begins to shift. We start noticing our bodies. We notice when it gets tight and when it becomes tense, especially around certain people. We learn how to name what we feel, whether it's us feeling drained, dismissed, or overwhelmed. We know how to tend to ourselves instead of pushing through it. Navigation is what you do with that information. This is where you stop forcing yourself into rooms that do not fit you, rooms that just aren't for you. This is where you stop explaining your needs to people who keep showing you they won't meet them, or people who are already dedicated to misunderstanding you. This is where you stop staying out of habit. This is where you learn how to ground yourself. So, navigation is, in essence, about making choices, consistent choices, small choices that align with who you are and who you are becoming in your life journey. Taking time before responding instead of answering immediately is how you navigate. Asking clarifying questions instead of assuming is navigation. Saying, I need to think about it without feeling guilty, or just saying flat out no, is navigation. Leaving conversations that feel overwhelming, navigation. choosing distance over dysregulation, navigation. Sometimes navigation is staying, sometimes navigation is leaving, sometimes navigation is doing less. The difference is that now the choices come from you being more aligned and you not moving through life in fear. They are not about cutting people off, they are about direction. They help you decide how close people can get to you, what you have the capacity for, what kind of behavior you engage with, what kind of relationship you invest in. Boundaries are navigation tools. Boundaries are not about cutting people off. They are about direction. They help you decide how close someone can get to you, what you have capacity for, what kind of behavior, this thing is stuck on me, you engage with, what kind of relationship you invest in. When you navigate from survival, boundaries feel harsh. They feel like you're being mean. They feel like you're being selfish. When you navigate from clarity, boundaries feel more necessary. They're not walls, they're guidance. I would say navigation can feel uncomfortable. Navigation feels uncomfortable because it interrupts patterns that once kept us safe. If you are used to overgiving, choosing yourself can feel selfish. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. If you're used to living in chaos or just chaos in general, peace can definitely feel boring, especially in relationships where especially when you've grown up with parents or people who had a chaotic relationship. Experience someone who bring you peace when all you know is chaos can feel boring. I often see, and this is off topic, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, this is off topic, but I see like relationships where girls would be with like a really decent type of guy. Like he's really decent, he's very nice, he's very nurturing, and they will do something like cheat or like start arguments to add some razzle dazzle. And at first I'm just like, oh, that's so toxic or that's so chaotic. But really, it is their nervous system, in my opinion, their nervous system trying to create something familiar, especially when they aren't used to someone like that, when they're not raised in environments like that. If you are used to shrinking, confidence can feel loud. All just an indication that your nervous system is adjusting. Growth doesn't always feel beautiful at first. It feels very fucking hectic a lot of the times. Sometimes it feels quiet, sometimes it feels awkward, sometimes it feels lonely, sometimes it feels like you shouldn't be doing it. But when you start to feel uncomfortable, that is when you know things in your life are beginning to change. So, navigation in real life. How can you practice navigation this week? How can you navigate your life this week? Before making a decision, a relationship decision, pause and ask, is this coming from clarity or is this coming from fear? Does this support who I'm becoming? What would choosing myself look like in this very moment in time? You don't have to act or do something immediately. You don't have to explain yourself immediately. Remember, the pause is the practice. The pause is the practice. And navigation is not about having everything in life figured out. It's not about, oh, I know this, now my life has changed. It is about letting your healing guide your choices instead of your wounds. You're not behind. You're learning how to move from alignment instead of survival. When you navigate, it doesn't erase years of things that you've been through. It teaches you how to navigate them with more peace, with more clarity, with more understanding, instead of reacting out of fear, reacting out of protecting yourself, or reacting out of, reacting out of survival mode. If this series has been helping you see yourself more clearly, subscribe and join the Wildflower family. And if you want to practice this work in real life, this week's guided prompt will be on my Gumroad account. It is available. Thank you for attending this week's video in the 4 weeks of relationship and how to, I forgot what the title was, but yeah. Ciao.